But, in Psychonauts, Raz is very just a regular kid, which I like. And in the new one, Broken Age, I'm the Space Reaver, so it's very much like a kind of a C-3PO type character, except without the, the neuroses. It's like, where would you like to go today, young master? I love doing those, but they're hard because I've been for so long in a very loud, crazy world. I always sometimes have to bring myself back down. If I'm doing a show if I'm doing a game like Skylanders, I'll always ask her to do a take where it's not so yelly, because I get tired of the yelling. So yes, I do get typecast. That's not a bad thing in voiceover.
Richard?
Yes.
Do you remember any of the lines from when Zim was in the Christmas episode where Zim was talking about the wrestler? And if so, could you say it for us?
Yeah. It's funny, I don't remember all the words, but that's exactly how I wanted to do the wrestler. They wouldn't let me do it that way! So it doesn't sound like Zim. So I had to do it like this as a wrestler. But that was a big issue for Nickelodeon, the wrestler thing. They didn't like the wrestler thing, and we loved the wrestler thing. I don't remember the lines because they changed so much. That's why I say it's a funny question, because that actually became an issue. So we changed the line so many times that I don't remember what I said as the wrestler. Because we were also, a lot of it is locked away somewhere in our memory banks, because we only got to do that episode after we'd been canceled. So we'd been canceled and all of us were like, what just happened? And they go, because we already agreed to it, we'll let you do the Christmas special. It's like a blur to us. The only thing I ever really remember from the Christmas episode is Minnie Moose, which was going to be more of Minnie Moose. He was there all along. Oh yeah, that's Minnie Moose. He's been there all along. Me. That was Jonah. Jonah was Minnie Moose. Damn, yes. One of my favorite things that people don't really realize was me was, I love you, Colin, feeling robot arm. That was Zim as a baby. I love you, Colin, feeling robot arm.
So I know that you were in Broken Age.
Yes.
Do you know if you're going to be in the second part of that, or do you have any news on Broken Age Part 2 at all?
Yes and yes. Yeah, that's all I can say. That is all that I can say.
Okay, so if you could replace any cartoon character's voice for one episode with Zim's voice, who would you pick?
Winnie the Pooh. Oh, Bobber! Give me your honey. Give your honeys to Zim. Hello, Christopher Robin. Aren't you a bit old to be playing with stuffed animals, Christopher Robin? Eeyore! You are so depressing.
I just saw Jim coming, so that's...
Jim and I travel together a lot. We were in Hawaii together. We do a lot of conventions. Oh,
So,
I would like some honey. Hello, Christopher Robin.
he has some interesting things with Boo Boys, actually.
We call him Pooh Hefner. Because the ladies love Pooh. Winnie the Pooh.
How many takes does it usually take to get...
How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? 1, 2, 3. It depends. In the Amy Beavers, we did one full episode. Nick Mackay and I did one full episode in one take. 15 minutes, straight through, mistakes and all. That was just for fun, and they used it. The second was, Invader Zim, it just different things, because as we're recording, sometimes we come up with a different idea while we're recording. So, I know that Invader Zim, we took an extraordinarily long time to record them, because we were always going off on tangents.
This is a really important question. Could change the fate of everyone. Problem is, I'm going to say it in a different language. Ready?
Ready?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
She raised her hand and says she has a question.
All right. Okay. So you mentioned you travel with Jim Cummings, right?
Yep, Jim Cummings.
All right. So now this is kind of like a
We went to
scenario.
Hawaii together.
So would Zim ever get along with Darkwing Duck?
Oh yeah,
Like what would happen?
I would kill him. Or I mean, Zim would. Because he was being spit on all the time.
I'd like to know more about your role as Gray Matter.
Oh, let's go, and it's time to go, hero. You know, Gray Matter is kind of a sore spot for me because I was the original Gray Matter in the original Ben 10. But the thing was is that Gray Matter wasn't in a lot of episodes because, you know, they were selling toys with that show, which is what that show was really about. And so not a lot of people wanted to be the little guy that could crawl through, you know, telephone wires. They wanted to be the guy who's got, you know, blades and stuff and all the big action heroes, aliens. But then, you know, they changed producers and everything, and all of a sudden they started recasting the voices because those producers wanted to work with those other actors because that was their friends or whatever. So I was always kind of bummed by that because when you look at the Gray Matter character, I did the video game. I did like 3 or 4 episodes in the first season. So I always never felt like really a big part of Ben 10. But you know, it would have been nice.
Gray Matter was my favorite.
Yeah, well, you've got good taste, clearly. I used to call, my friend Quentin Flynn used to call Gray Matter Johnny Carson on helium.
That is wild. I did not know that. Oh, man. Oh, Grandpa. Come on, Glenn. It's time to go hero.
Hi. I was wondering, out of all the conflicts in Invader Zim, like Ultra PP,
Ultra PP! PP! Oh, baby! PP!
I was wondering, which one was your favorite to be involved in or to just watch?
Wow, I love watching all of them except the ones that Zim is not in. So I don't like Chickenfoot's a good episode, but there's no Zim. Game Slave is a good episode, but there's no Zim. And the reason for that is because Ian Joni got sick of Zim after a while. He just said, okay, I have enough Zim, I'm gonna do a whole episode without Zim. There are actually quite a few episodes without Gur, which is interesting. I think the best combo in those shows are when Gur and Zim are like Walk of Doom is one of my favorite episodes ever. FBI is one of my favorite ones. But then I also like the mall one, which I thought was cool because not on this guy's watch, which was awesome.
That was FBI warning of doom.
Yes, FBI warning of doom. So my favorite to watch, literally my favorite to watch was Planet Jackers because visually it was stunning because it was our 3D at our best when we were doing that. I love Rise of the Zip Boy because I just thought Pastulia was so cool and I love the pus in his face. Those are my favorite. Yeah.
First off, I'd like to say that thank you for being such a major part of my childhood.
Oh, your parents owe me babysitting, please.
I heard that Scrooge was going to be a major part of the show. He was going to like move into Zim's basement or something.
You know, Scrooge gets mentioned quite a bit in the show. Like, every time he checks into the planets, it's always Scrooge. A major part, I doubt. An episode, maybe. But, you know, this is all what might have been, which we don't know. Because we only had a couple of scripts that we never got to. Ricky was, I don't know if he said, Ricky's family probably told you the day we got canceled, he had a script that was approved, that he was actually writing. But literally the day we got canceled, that was it, done.
It's so sad. Don't make me cry.
What does the G stand for in Gur?
Canceled. I don't know.
Remember the one video game called Ratchet and Clank?
My favorite. I love Ratchet and Clank. Yep. I was in Ratchet and Clank. Is that what you're gonna ask me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was the Zony.
Oh.
I was also Pollux.
holiday?
And then the online version, I was the kid that was, I'm trying to remember his name, Stuart Thurgood.
Wait, are you in the nerd? Were you the nerd of Captain Quark?
Yes, with the one that got mad at him for going commercial, and he was supposed to be a bad guy, and he ruined it. And then I decided to take him prisoner. That was me, Stuart Thurgood. It was like Billy grown up. Stuart Thurgood.
Didn't you also play, what's his name, from Strong Humans?
Orthopox. Yes, that was him with a British accent. Cryptosporidium. Focus, Crypto. There'll be time for probing later.
You know how Jordan wrote a comic or Invader's Day on the back of one of the SpongeBob?
Yeah.
Where,
On the Nickelodeon.
right,
Yeah.
Zim takes over the world, but then he gets bored of it and he leaves. What do you think like would be Zim's future after that?
He left. I don't know, he probably would have taken over Patrick. Starfish. Her and it would have been enslaved. Did you see the little thing that Ricky, Joan, and I put out with like on the Vine? Like, I only fart tears! Yay, I'm gonna be sick! Did you see any of those things? Joan and I and Ricky did those at Stan Lee's Kamikaze last year. We were sitting at our tables and we decided to Joan actually drew those things and cut them out. And then we all wrote them. That was it. That's the last of it. New unaired episodes. 3 seconds long.
I know that you voiced in Ratchet and Clank, but what do you think of its rival, Jak and Daxter?
I love Jak and Daxter 1. I love Jak and Daxter 1, and I love Jak and Daxter 3. I don't like Jak and Daxter 2, the one where you have to fly that darn thing through the city. Drives me absolutely bonkers. I like Jak and Daxter 1 better than any of the other ones because I loved the planets that you could travel to. I loved the design of it. I loved that it was just, the missions were clear. I thought the missions were a little complicated on the second one. It just was too much. But I love Jak and Daxter 1.
Do you remember the comic that Jonan once made where Zim took over the world and then he and Dib went to go fly on pigs and space buggies and all that?
I think I do.
Or he had like the giant hat that said ruler on it?
Yes.
Do you think that was accurate?
No. I think it was stream of consciousness at that moment. Dun, dun, dun.
We need more cues. More cues. Half an hour left.
Half an hour of cues to go.
Why did they make Grim Jamaican?
That was Greg Eagle's thing. He came in and he did it, and Maxwell loved it. It's like no one's done that. That makes sense. I like it. It's it's kind of voodoo-y, and she liked. Go, baby, baby. Hey, man, why are you wearing a dress? Do you have any favorite quotes from it? Oh, I've got lots. My favorite, as everyone probably knows, is "Grr, why was there bacon in the soap?" Which is my favorite. I like "My business is done." I got to say some of the best lines in the show, so I was really lucky. Gurr got to say some funny things. Like Gurr, like Ricky loves the "I was the turkey all along." He loves that line. I like "dumb like a moose did." Dumb like a moose. Do you want to hold Pastudio's little hand? That bee, that horrible bee. There were so many. I just, for those, my favorite is still Gurr. Why was there bacon in the soap? Look who's back! Ken Nabby, everybody. Say hi to Ken. Hi, Ken.
Weren't all you here yesterday?
I will have to try.
Those are sisters right there in the front there. That's Candace and Shannon.
Stargate.
Yeah.
That's a good show.
Well, I know them because they go to SuperCon most years, except this last year. They were in Montreal.
Oh.
You know who they're friends with?
Who are you friends with?
Yeah,
Oh,
John,
okay.
see? Remember? Their mom, Donna, where's Donna? I had a girl, Donna was her name. Since she left me, I shouldn't sing that before I was on airplane. Richie Valens' song. It didn't end well for him. It did not end well for Richie
Got some
Valens.
big bopper too, while you're at it.
Hello, baby!
Wow. Yeah, that just aged us there.
Nice Tiny Tim.
Get old. Get
We're
old.
looking for a cue.
Oh.
What's your favorite non-zip line?
Non-zip line?
Non-zip.
I was a turkey all along. Oh, I'll tell you my favorite. I'll tell you my favorite non-zip line. I'm eating myself! I love the way Ricky does that because it's so angry and it's like, it's so ridiculous. It makes me laugh every time that exchange happens. He won't do it anymore because it's too hard in his voice. But he's changed it from, I'm eating myself to, I slaughtered a
Do you remember the episode of, well, it never aired, but What Penis to Do? Do you think that's how Zib would actually react if Zib, like, stopped paying attention to it?
Yeah, that was actually a written script. So that was actually as it was written, and because that's how they voted, we would have recorded it. That's how it would have been. I rarely argued with the direction that they were going in, ever, because it was my job was just to do what they told me to do, and I did it. Money. What inspired me to be a voice actor? It's an interesting question because I think if you ask most voiceover actors, they didn't start out to be voiceover actors, even though Clank was an on-camera actor before he ever went into voiceover. I think what happens is it's kind of a natural progression if you're working. I happen to be working on camera since I was 10 years old, and I was doing TV, film, and a lot of stage work. And so at the time I had an agent who was a commercial agent for television commercials who shared an office with a voiceover person. Someone said, hey, you should go over to the voiceover agent and say you want to do voiceover. I'm like, okay. So I went over, and I said, I want to do voiceover. And she said, okay, you have to do a demo reel. And back then it was reel-to-reel tape. And so I made a demo, and I gave it to them, and that's how I got into voiceover. But animation, I know specifically, I decided to get into because I knew that's where I would excel, because that's kind of where my mind is like really fast in that way, and so animation was that way. And I also got a new script every week, and I also got to work with a lot of great actors and a lot of big names, and that stuff kind of inspired me and intrigued me, and that's how I got into it. And that's what inspired me to do it. That money. And I thought, hey, I can do this. I can support my family, sort of.
So what show did you do your first voiceover work on?
I first started out in radio commercials. I did a lot of radio commercials for years, and about 5 years into my voiceover career, I got a guest spot on a show called The Adventures of Prince Valiant. And it was a lot of big names at the time. It was Robbie Benson was on it, Charlie Adler, Rob Paulson, I think, was on it. Frank Welker, I think, was on it. And I only had like a couple of lines. I was supposed to play a ship's, like a ship's sailor, and I was like, something like, Captain, all the decks have been swabbed. And I remember the director, the voice director at the time, everyone laughed when I did my line. And then, oh, hey, I'm good at this. And I remember the director, the vocal director came online, he pushed the button and said, I didn't realize we hired Woody Allen to play a ship's mate. So that got me mad. So I swore I would get even. That director does not work in the business. Say.
We're actually from the East Coast, and we've only gone to InvaderCons.
Yes.
My question is, we want to expand, and unfortunately, we'd love to keep going to more InvaderCons.
Yes, but this is it, except for InvaderCon Europe, which is coming up next year.
Yeah. Or Hawaii.
Well, we're talking InvaderCon Hawaii, InvaderCon Europe, and InvaderCon Cruise, which Ken's mom wants more than anything. So, the Invader Cruise.
my question is, what would you recommend for us to start looking at?
On the East Coast, okay, so what part of the East Coast do you want?
We're actually in Virginia.
Oh, well, there's a lot. It depends on what you're into. There's different kinds of conventions. So I would imagine that you have a lot of on-camera things that you like, also television shows and stuff. So then you'd want to go to pop culture conventions. Pop culture conventions they have the gamut. They have on-camera actors, and they've got voice actors, and they've got artists, and it's like they're usually pretty big. So on the East Coast, they have something called New York Comic-Con, which is huge. They also have all along the Northeast corridor. There's Granite Con, there's Rhode Island Con. I mean, there are conventions every weekend in this country. But on the East Coast, Ken used to be on the East Coast. Now he's in the Midwest, but he knows of a lot of conventions on the East Coast. What ones do you recommend? Oh, SuperCon.
Yeah, well, SuperCon's in Lauderdale, so that's what should be Miami.
Right, Miami.
What's your favorite con to attend?
InvaderCon would be one of my favorites. Well, I like SuperCon. To attend. I'll tell you one of my favorites. There's two that I really particularly like right now. One is called Emerald City Con. That's in Seattle. That's really nice. Really nice show. And if you want to go to Canada, Calgary Comic Expo is really nice. That's a good one. You'll enjoy that. I also had a blast because I went to Australia 4 times. If you want to go on a trip to Australia, I did a group called Supernova, and I went to Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Gold Coast, and Perth. And those are great conventions too. Ken puts on conventions as well with his partner Tom. You guys all know Tom. And that's part of Green Mustard Entertainment.
The big one on the East Coast for the anime group is Otakon. That's in Baltimore. Most of those happen during the summer, and it's hot.
If you're in Virginia, Ricky and I do one called KatsuCon, which is in Maryland, and that's a really nice one also. It's KatsuCon. That's more anime.
And then Ricky and you are there?
Ricky and I travel together a lot. You know, we just to give you an example. Last week so on Wednesday and Thursday, Ricky and I were at San Diego Comic-Con. The week before that, we were in Connecticut at ConnectiCon. The week before that, we were in Miami at SuperCon. And the week before that, we were in Albuquerque at Albuquerque Comic Expo. So this is our busy time of year because it's summer. But we usually do a convention a month, I would say. Yeah. So just look up conventions on the East Coast. But specifically, you want pop culture or anime. Those are the two big ones that Ricky and I are always at.
Thank you.
Hi again.
Hi again,
Kat. First off, I wanted to wish you a happy early birthday.
Thank you very much.
And I was wondering, you've gotten so many absurd lines as Zim. Were there ever any ones where you had such a hard time recording just because you couldn't stop laughing at it?
I loved Ultra Pee-Pee because all Zim says through most of it is like, Pee-Pee! Pee-Pee, oh baby! Pee-Pee! I like saying Pee-Pee. As you might tell, if you're at the Breakfast of Doom, I have a very, I have potty humor. I like potty humor. Never grow up. Yeah! See?
I was wondering if you can do Zim's impression of Elvis.
Yes. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. You ain't nothing but a hound dog, crying all the time. Well, you ain't never gonna rub it in. You ain't no friend of mine.
So what was that awful VHS we gave you at the last Invader?
Oh, that was a movie I did called Deadly Weapon. Deadly Weapon. That was not to be confused with Lethal Weapon. That was with Kim Walker and I played Barney Martin, who played Seinfeld's dad on Seinfeld. I played his son, and we were held hostage in a video arcade by a boy with a ray gun. And I think that's what they called it, boy with a ray gun. I think is what it was actually called.
Hello.
Hello.
I was wondering, have you seen the video by Hot Diggity Demon of the Lost where someone they were saying.
Yeah, actually,
What was
Ricky
your
and
reaction to it?
yeah, Ricky and Jonan both saw it. Jonan's the one that told Ricky about it. It's actually pretty good. It's really good, actually. It's funny. Funny.
Hello.
Hello.
Are you a Star Trek fan?
I am a Star Trek fan. Yes.
Who's your favorite character?
You have to tell me which version you're talking about. Are you talking about the original?
There's only one
No.
version.
Yeah, the original is the only version for me. I'm with you. But I am a big fan. Well, I was a fan of the first new Star Trek, the original prequel, the one that Chris Pine did, the very first one. That was a great one. I had a lot of problems with the second one. My main problem was, like, okay, we all know that Khan is Indian.
Whoa, he's Indian being played by a Spaniard.
Yes, but
He likes fine Corinthian leather.
yes, he does, by Ricardo Montalban. And I love Benedict Cumberbatch. I love him. I love Sherlock. But wait a minute. He's British. He's nothing like Khan. And the other thing that bothered me about it was that it wasn't a mission movie. It was a vengeance movie. So it was all action, adventure, vengeance. And I like the strangeness. The reason I like the first incarnation, the original Star Trek, is because that took place at a time when there was a lot of social injustice in the world, as there is today, and they tackled those things in brilliant ways. And so that's why I love that, and I love X-Men is my other favorite series because they also deal with social issues of racism and such. But my favorite character, wow. Well, you're kind of like, your protagonist is Kirk, so you're constantly watching him. But I like Kirk. I really like Kirk, and I like Scotty. Yeah, those are mine. And I like the Scotty in the new ones. I think that is brilliant casting. Oh, and I did a convention with Bones, today's Bones. He's awesome. He looks just like him. He's exactly like him. It's awesome, man.
Have you had any involvement with the up-and-coming Ratchet and Clank film?
I'm not in the up-and-coming Ratchet and Clank film, and it was a source of debate. I was upset by it, but I didn't fit into the storyline. There were no Zoni, and Stuart Zergo was a one-time shot, and that didn't show up in it either. I'm very good friends with the writer T.J. Fixman, who writes the Ratchet and Clank, and he explained to me that I understood that if they do something else, that there'll be a place for me. But I wanted to be in it badly, yeah, because I love that game. I love it. In fact, the way I got involved in that game is an interesting story. I had been hired by Insomniac Games to do another game for them. And while I was, which one? While I was there, I was talking to them about how much I love Ratchet and Clank. And I gave them like my review of what I liked and what I didn't like. I said, the first one, it takes too long to get the bolts. You have to do so much to get very little bolts. And so I told them what guns I like, what weapons I like, the bouncy balls, I like all this stuff, I like this, and this. And they were so impressed that I knew the game backwards and forwards, that the next time they did it, they found a part for me. And that's how I started doing the series. So I love that franchise. It's a great franchise.
So what if like reading his the part from this and you and Andrew like switch roles?
Me and who?
Andrew?
Oh, Andy Berman?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's originally I thought that I was right for Dib. I thought that's what I was more prone to play the Dib character because he is like obsessed, but then so is Zim, so that turned out well. But they said no, we want you to do Zim. I was like, really? That more, but my invitation of Andy is always the same. It's like, okay, Andy, we need some fight sounds for this. Okay. Yeah. And we all went, yeah. Not this time, Zim! Yeah. That's one of the best action sequences we ever did was in the first episode, when we're running over the city, over the walls. Such a great. And that's when we went over the ice cream truck. It says, you will buy ice cream, you will eat ice cream, you will buy ice cream. Thanks for coming, guys. See you next time. Thanks for coming. See you next time.
Could you do like Zim yelling con like with like with
That's all I got. I gotta work tomorrow.
So what are you working on tomorrow?
NDA.
Oh!
I cannot say. Secret.
Did you have a favorite cartoon show when you were a kid?
Speed Racer. Without a doubt.
Influenced how your voice acting?
It didn't influence how I voice acted because I didn't know that I was going to be a voice actor, but it did influence how I drive. Apparently you cannot just crash into cars and keep going. But every toy I ever got, I tried to make the Mach 5. And then the Peterson Auto Museum in Los Angeles got a replica drivable Mach 5. And I want that car so badly. It's still there. It's basically a Corvette chassis. It's gorgeous. And the only thing that is obsolete on the car now is homing pigeons. Because you could probably have Bluetooth and just make a phone call to Trixie or Pops now. Most people did not like the movie version of Speed Race, but what I liked about it is that I thought that Matthew Fox was great as Racer X. John Goodman was a great Pops racer, and for what it was basically a CGI movie, and so it didn't bother me, but it's still not the Speed Racer that I want to see. I want to see a real live-action Speed Racer. That would be me.
Did you work with Peter Fernandez before he passed?
I met him many times, but I never worked with him. Great guy. The show was majorly influential on me. To this day, I keep the Speed Racer theme song in my iPod, and when I'm driving, I always go. Here comes Speed Racer. He's a demon on wheels. He's a demon and he's gonna be chasing after someone. He's gaining on you, so you better look alive. He's busy rubbing up the powerful
Mach 5.
And when the odds are against him and there's dangerous work to do, that's the part that doesn't really happen. You bet your life, Speed Racer, he's gonna see it through. Dun dun dun, go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer. Go, Speed Racer, go! He's off and flying as he guns the car around the track. He's jamming down the pedal like he's never coming back. Adventure's waiting just ahead! Go, Speed Racer, go, Speed Racer, go, Speed Racer, go! Never a better theme song. I don't care, never.
It needs ukulele.
It does need ukulele. Ukulele.
What's your most memorable moment behind the scenes on Invader Zim?
When we got canceled.
That time Jonas Butcher canceled.
the day that Zim and Taft love each other, what would their babies be like?
Sounds like bad fan fiction right there.
They wouldn't have babies. They don't have sexual organs.
Or do they?
They don't. Organs don't. They're born in test tubes. I love you, cool and feeling robot arm. Remember.
Who's your favorite X-Men character?
My favorite what?
X-Men character.
Well, there's so many of them. I love Quicksilver. But I have to say, it's actually the relationship between Xavier and Magneto, because it's such, they don't hate each other, you know, and that as bad as Magneto gets, Xavier understands that. And even though they fight each other, they never kill each other. That never happens because they understand, obviously Magneto has a storyline, it's got a backstory, and that's what I love about the X-Men thing, is that every character really has a strong backstory. But yeah, I mean, I like Magneto. I mean, I like his powers, but of course I like Jean's powers too, except I would be able to control them. But you also Storm. But I like there's so many things about things, like the fact that Wolverine can regenerate just is like amazing to me, so. I want to be a transporter too, that too. I can't choose. It's easier for me to choose a DC superhero. That would be Superman, because he's got superpowers. That's it, bingo. What more do you need? He can have all the money he wants. No one would ever know. No one could get it from him if he wanted to. I mean, that's the thing. You go, hey, I could be bad if I wanted to. But he doesn't. Because he's for truth, justice, and the American way.
If Tack never took Robot B with her, what would Zim use with Robot B?
That horrible bee. That's a good question. I'll have to write to Tack and ask her. That bee would have been used like, Gur would have been riding the bee at some point. That would be it. Or he'd be partying with Gur.
Who is your least favorite superhero from Marvel or DC?
My least favorite? I don't like any characters like Hawkeye, where all they do is shoot arrows. That's boring. I don't like boring sub-characters. That drives me nuts. It's like, okay, wow, you're regenerating arrows and you can shoot really well. That's my least favorite. DC,
You don't like the boxing glove arrow? Very disappointing.
I mean, there's so many sub-characters I really don't care for. It's like, who cares? But yeah, I'm not a big fan of like guys that shoot arrows.
Has yourself and the cast of Invaders ever considered doing audio webisodes?
Yeah, well, Eric Schuler, Ricky, and I have, we've toyed with this idea for some time about this podcast called the Algonquin Taco Truck. And we've written sketches. We just haven't gotten around to recording them because our schedules are so ridiculously busy. But the thing is that there's so many podcasts now. We probably would do better to stream something. That would be fun. Like just getting us all together at one time is kind of a challenge. But yeah, Joan probably wouldn't want it. But Joan might come in and do something. Yeah, if he can walk away. The fry cook?
Yeah.
Sizzler?
What did she say when Zim asked her, "You want some of this?" What did she say?
I don't know. What did she say? I don't know. Was I there? Was Zim in the scene?
Yes.
Oh, she said, okay. That's the one thing. I always disappoint people because I don't remember all the lines. Because it was 13 years ago!
You know that one episode, where you did that one thing of the thing,
It's like Chris Farley with Paul McCartney. Remember that song, Long and Winding Road? Yeah, remember at the end he said, and in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make? I don't remember, Chris. Is that true? God, that would be true. Oh, Foodcordia? Yeah. Yeah, I like Foodcordia. That was a good idea because that's a lot of the stuff we did was like totally like a very surreal commentary on our society, which I love. That's why school was spelled S-K-O-O-L. And ice cream, you would buy ice cream.
I didn't understand why it was spelled differently. I know why it's all.
So in Zim's voice, can you give us Zim's reaction to InvaderCon?
Ah! Yes. We're all full of goo. Mission goo. That's one of my favorite lines. Yes. That was an improvised line. The pants command me like giant radioactive rubber pants, which were supposed to be ants.
What's your favorite movie?
My favorite movie, The Godfather.
Which one?
First, original.
So what's your opinion of Godfather 3?
Horrible. I won't even watch Godfather 3.
So do you watch Godfather 2 in the Saga edition, or do you watch it on its own?
Well, I'll watch the Saga edition if I'm really, really bored. But the problem is, I had a real problem with Andy Garcia being Sonny's son and having a relationship with Michael's daughter, which was weird. But no, and the moment in The Godfather, I mean, the thing in The Godfather is it's amazing. But to have Sofia Coppola going like this, Dad, really, please, I keep pulling me back, and to make Michael old like that, it's like I'm gonna tell you, but I gotta take my shot. I didn't like it. I hate it. But Godfather 1 and Godfather 2 are two of the best movies ever. Godfather 1 ranks as number 1.
Oh yeah, Joe Montana in the third one.
Well, you had a lot in the third one, but it just didn't. I mean, you still had Diane Keaton, but you didn't have Tom. How can you not have the consigliere?
A good point.
You need Tom. He was smart for not doing it. But yeah, those are my two
Well,
favorite.
just get George Hamilton instead. The most tan vampire ever.
I don't know. That was good. I actually, was that Once Bitten? No.
Love at First Bite.
Love at First Bite, right?
Yes,
Once
Love at
Bitten was
First-
the one with Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Yes.
I heard that you did something for Disney once with the Tower of Terror. Is that
Yes,
true?
I did. That's a very good question. Thank you for that.
Softball.
Yes. I'm gonna hit it. I'm gonna hit this another part. Do you guys know the Tower of Terror ride? So in Tokyo Disneyland, they don't. The theme of our Tower of Terrors are Twilight Zone, but in Tokyo and Japan, Twilight Zone is not iconic. It's not a big show. They don't identify with it. Twilight Zone is just nothing to them. So they had to change the whole theme of the ride. The ride's the same, but the theme is different. And so in the theme of the Tokyo Disneyland one, it's about a guy like a William Randolph Hearst that in the turn of the century went all through the world just pillaging people's artifacts and art and stealing them and storing away in this warehouse, which is what this ride is. And amongst these artifacts is a little tiki god. I don't even know what its name is. Do you know what its name is? It has a name.
I can't remember.
But this little tiki god rides with you throughout the ride, and you see it as you're falling, and you just hear like, yeah, so that's me. That guy right there has actually ridden the ride in Tokyo. I've never even heard it.
He made me buy all of the merchandise for his character.
That's true.
Okie doke, got time for one more question. There we go.
That's Angie's mom. That's Mrs. Bright Star Angie.
It's really not a question. I just wanted to thank you for the years of joy that you, Wally, and the other actors have brought to her life. It has meant more than I can express and that she can express. I just want to thank you.
Oh, that's my pleasure.
So
Thank you for saying
personable,
that.
And I've watched you. You're personable with everybody.
Thank you.
And that's great.
Thank you. You're very kind. Thank you for that. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming to InvaderCON 3. I'll see you at the last panel of Doom, in which we will announce InvaderCON 4. Invader Cruise. Invader Cruise. Right, Shannon? Invader Cruise. Yeah. Invader Cruise and or InvaderCON London. Yeah. InvaderCON London, right then? Well, let's just take a vote. Tom told me if you guys wanted it, we'd probably do it. Who would want another InvaderCON 4?